Today we're going to talk about internet best practices, data privacy, and Fallsburg's acceptable use policy. This presentation has three parts. The first part will be general internet best practices, followed by applicable federal and state laws, and concluding with acceptable use of Fallsburg School District's technology. First, let's talk about maintaining a positive digital footprint. This short video explains more about your digital footprint. Most websites you visit these days will track you. Whether you actively use social media or not, you are on the internet. Others may post pictures of you and might even include your name. Keep an eye on what you post and what others post about you. Once something is posted on the internet, it is impossible to remove it or control who it is shared with. You can't take back things that have been posted on the internet.
Damn, she's hot. Really? What are you doing?
She's just doing this so guys can notice her. God, look at her hair. What is she doing? Oh my god.
Are you trying to get internet stalkers?
Once you post your picture online, you can't take it back. Think before you post.
Be careful about what you share. You should never share a password with anyone. Be careful about sharing personal information with companies or anyone that you don't know personally. Sharing pictures taken with smartphones can be particularly dangerous as the phones embed data such as the location the photo was taken, which will allow a malicious actor to find where you are. Do not go to websites that seem questionable. Always think twice before opening links in emails or on social media. Always lock your computer when you leave your desk. If you don't, you risk things like someone sending an email pretending to be you, or, even worse, stealing or altering your own or student information. You can press the Windows key and L at the same time to lock your computer. You could also press Ctrl-Alt-Delete and select Lock. Closing your Chromebook will lock it, or you can press the lock button, which is located on the upper right-hand corner of the keyboard. Create strong passwords and do not share them with anyone. Some tips for doing that are to use combinations of letters, numbers, and special characters for each password. Do not reuse passwords. Never use the same password for multiple different websites. Some ideas for strong passwords are to replace letters with numbers or symbols. Here's the word replace, with the E's replaced with 3's and the A replaced with an @ sign. Replacing S's with dollar signs is a good practice as well. Use shortcuts or acronyms. In honor of Shakespeare, to be or not to be, that is the question. You can also use passwords that have some common elements but are changed for each website, such as these two that say, "Let me in Amazon" for Amazon, or "Let me in B&N" for Barnes & Noble. There are also many secure password locker applications that are either built into smartphones or available as add-on apps. You can also save passwords directly into your Google account. Phishing is the root of many hacks. Phishing is just phishing. They are dropping the bait to see who bites. They are trying to trick you into filling out forms or causing you to click on links that install spyware on your computer. Will you click? A couple of years ago, a school district right here in Sullivan County was the victim of an attack. The attack happened in October, and all systems weren't back online until December, and the cost was tremendous. To prevent phishing, ask yourself, do you know or recognize the from address of a contact's name? Look carefully at the entire email. Does anything look off? Does the message contain incorrect grammar or misspelled words? Does the message ask you to take action on something you didn't request? Don't click on links. Instead, hover your cursor over the link to determine if the address is unknown, suspicious, or misleading. Often attackers will take a normal website and slightly change it so it looks like it's what you think it is, but you're actually going to an attacker's website. Also, if you get an email asking for personal information, you can call the sender to ensure that it is truly them asking for that information. Here's a short video on how phishing attacks work.
What do you think a phishing attack looks like? This? Or this? Maybe this? Ugh, not quite. In this instance, we're spelling phishing with a PH, and it's one of the most common online scams around. So what is it? Say you receive an email from your bank. They're asking you to log into your account and update your details. They've even provided a handy link that will take you straight to the relevant page. Great. Except that email isn't from your bank, it's from me. And I've set up a very convincing website that looks just like your bank site. So when you click my link and follow the bank's instructions, what you're actually doing is giving me all your login information and whatever personal or banking data I've asked for. Thanks. These kinds of emails have become commonplace in recent years, to the point that they're a bit of a joke. We've all laughed at the "Nigerian prince wants to send me his fortune" email. It's so obviously a scam. How does anyone fall for it? Well, firstly, if it didn't work at least some of the time, no one would do it. But secondly, by making you believe that all phishing emails are that obvious, those scammers have lulled you into a false sense of security, meaning you're much less likely to spot a better executed attempt. In a 2015 study, 97% of people were unable to identify sophisticated phishing emails. How many of those people thought they were too smart to be fooled? Part of the problem is that many people don't realize how personalized phishing can be. Targeted attacks are called spear phishing, and they're geared towards you. Usually, these phishers will have some prior information on you, taken from social media or online public records. They use this to tailor an email which seems too specific to be a generic scam, and so is far more believable and likely to yield results. And scammers know this. In a review of over 500,000 mailboxes, it was found that 77% of spear phishing attacks targeted 10 people or less. More alarmingly, 33% targeted just one. So what does one of these look like? Well, say your colleague has gone on holiday to Mexico. You know he's in Mexico because you saw him check into the airport on Facebook. A few days later, he sends you an email. He's really sorry to reach out. His phone, wallet, and passport have been stolen, but fortunately, he remembered your email address. Could you possibly wire him some money using this link? Obviously, he'll pay you back. He's just in a bit of a tight spot and needs to pay the consulate for his new passport. None of this is particularly far-fetched or difficult to believe, but all the same, it's not true. This is a spear phishing attempt. Your colleague's Facebook privacy settings are wide open, so his airport check-in was visible to the whole world, including our scammer, who only needed 5 minutes to Google your colleague's workplace, find you and your email address, and then fire off a compelling sob story. It doesn't even need to be that specific. How many people are going to question a Google Calendar meeting invitation from their boss? Just click here to RSVP, sign into Google, and as easy as that, you've given away your login details. So aside from ignoring emergency emails from your friends and deleting anything your boss sends you without opening it, what can you do to stay safe? Firstly, when you get an email, really check that it is what it says it is. Secondly, never click any links provided. If someone wants you to log in, go to their website independently and log in from there. If you're still unsure, find a legitimate number and call the company involved to ask about the email. Customer security is a big deal, and they won't be fazed by being asked questions like this. Thirdly, if you absolutely have to follow a link, triple check the URL of the website you've been sent to and make sure it matches up with where you log in normally. Just seeing a padlock is not enough. There are all kinds of tricks to fool even those with a deep understanding of URL schemas, so you need to exercise extreme caution. Phishing attacks are called that for a reason. A lot of the time, those behind them are just throwing out a line and seeing who bites. But by being aware of how these kinds of scams operate and exercising vigilance, you're making it far less likely that you'll be the one to take the bait. What do you think of phishing?
The second part of this presentation consists of an overview of the applicable federal and state laws related to technology. First one is FERPA, which is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. This is a federal law that was enacted in 1974 that protects the privacy of student educational records. FERPA applies to any public or private elementary, secondary, or post-secondary school. The Act serves two primary purposes. It gives parents or eligible students more control over their educational records, and it prohibits educational institutions from disclosing personally identifiable information, or PII, in education records, without the written consent of an eligible student, or if the student is a minor, the student's parents. The next one is a New York Education Law, Section 2D. Ed Law 2D expands the protections of FERPA to focus on the privacy and security of PII, personally identifiable information, of students, classroom teachers, and principals. This law requires us to enter into a data privacy agreement with any vendor that receives student PII. There is also a Parents' Bill of Rights for data privacy and security, as required by Ed Law 2D, posted on our website. If there is a new product or software tool you'd like to use, check the approved and in progress spreadsheet. If the product doesn't appear on the list, email me and I will investigate whether the company will enter into an Ed2D data sharing agreement. Some companies will do this for free tools, but some others will only do this if we purchase the software from them. We use Virtru to encrypt our emails. If you need to send PII via email, you must use Virtru to encrypt that email. When you scan data from the copier to your email, that is not encrypted. Do not scan to email any PII. The last part of the presentation covers the Fallsburg policies and regulations. These are available on our website, fallsburgcsd.net. Some highlights of the acceptable use policy include: employees should never share their password or account with anyone. Staff shall not use their district email account to subscribe to anything that is personal or non-school related. Teachers will preview all the materials and sites they require or recommend students access. Students in grades pre-K through 6 will be provided links access and are not permitted search access. Staff members will only allow students to communicate electronically for educational purposes. School-owned materials or equipment may be used by district employees and/or students for school-related purposes only. Please make sure that any equipment being removed from the campus has been signed out. Your Chromebooks have been signed out to you. You can take them home. Staff data files and electronic storage areas, including email, shall remain district property, subject to district control and inspection. Staff should not expect that information stored on the network will be private. There is no expectation of privacy. Do not use your school account for personal matters. The Computer Network Coordinator shall monitor and examine all district computer network activities to ensure compliance with this policy. There will be audits. Use your school accounts and equipment for school work only. Use your personal accounts and equipment for non-school related activities. We also have regulations for personal use of social media. For district and professional use of social media, any teacher or staff member wishing to use social media as representatives of the district must first consult and receive clearance from their supervisor. Once approved, a link must be provided directly from the Fallsburg website. The staff member and their position must be clearly identified, and the page should be created specifically for the intended purpose, not a personal page. Postings to the page must also be monitored. For personal use of social media, you may identify yourself as an employee of the district. If you do so, you must state that you are expressing your own opinion, not that of the district. You may not use the district's logo or images, and you should refrain from allowing current students enrolled in the district to communicate with you via your personal social media profiles. Never contact students via personal social media. Student use of the network is supervised by you. Students are required to comply with the requirements and instructions of supervising staff members. You are in charge of what happens in the classroom. You are the supervisor. Set the limits and enforce them. We need to model and teach acceptable use of the network. We need to be role models. A student's network account is their work account. So what is acceptable use of a work account? What does that mean? Shopping? A quick email to grandma? Checking personal email accounts? A quick online game of Candy Crush, Fortnite, Solitaire? Checking your personal Facebook? If you're using school time for any of these, can you live with it? Can you defend it? How would you feel if it were published on the front page of the New York Times? You need to be able to live with and defend use of technology. So, in summary, you can't take it back. What's your digital footprint? In closing, I wish you a great school year.